Thomas.
Thank you. Friday, I presented a proclamation and joined 50+1 International during their kickoff of the Third International Congress. It was founded in Mexico. 50+1 International empowers women and girls by connecting professionals across various fields to advance leadership and decision-making priorities. Our Consul General of Mexico, Maria Elena Orantes, is also the president of 50+1 International, and we had a time. Latinas from across the globe joined us in the Legacy Room and at the George R. Brown for a fantastic weekend, and I will just add that the tequila was on point as well. So I look forward to celebrating with you next year. I want to encourage residents and all that are watching Council today. I believe it's at 2 o'clock, the Service and Delivery Committee. They're going to will host a conversation around auto mechanic shops. And just to remind you, we've been having this conversation with the Planning Commission and Park Houston for the last 2 years around how they're disrupting residential neighborhood, particularly in Piney Point, where some of those auto mechanic shops are actually operating on residential land that was never transitioned to commercial land use. So join us. We've reached out to residents to participate on public comments. You can watch live on HTV or on Facebook Live, but I just want to shout out to Imperial Point, Ashton Village, Bel Air West, and other neighborhoods that are dealing with the same issue to please participate and share your concerns and make your voices known. And I'll be traveling, but I'll be watching in transit. I just want to thank my colleagues on the consent agenda. We approved $326,000 from the Park Consolidated Fund. This is for our multi-use trail connecting off the Story Park. This was a CIP item on last year's cycle, and so there was a community meeting held, I believe, with Precinct 4 and Parks Houston. And so this is moving forward. So I just want to thank you publicly for your support. Lastly, 2 weeks ago, a District F resident near Bissonnet and Kirkwood was detained by ICE and held in custody despite having a valid work permit. He's the sole provider for his mother, who's partially visually impaired. Many of our Spanish stations picked this incident up. This is the type of chilling effect that's happening not just on the west side, but all throughout our city and our nation because of the conversation around immigration policies and how dangerous that is. And so we're following that. We are providing information to our residents. And so continue to feel safe sharing those details with our offices and staff. And we'll do whatever we can to advocate on your behalf. And then, and speaking of immigration, my office is working with the SAID Institute. Largely Black immigrants have been left out of the conversation of immigration. So we're working together with our Black immigrant community to talk about how they can know their rights, particularly around Haiti, West Africa, and all of our other communities, because there is a fear and there's a information that is not being passed and shared to those communities. So we are working together aggressively to present a conversation where they can be safe, to know their rights, have shared resources, and really get back to some one-on-one traditional connecting with community and protecting ourselves in the time of need. I also want to shout out Shannon Buggs, who's no longer the director who's departed the city of Houston, no longer the director for Complete Communities. And I was taken aback by the lack of depth in the article talking about her departure and the lack of depth given to the impact of Complete Communities. Kathy Bluford Daniels said something at the HBAD luncheon. She said, before you can talk about Matthew, Mark, and Luke, you have to talk about Genesis. And I think that's important because, the history book has to reflect that Complete Communities is an instrumental community development tool that really empowered residents in the city of Houston. Although she's departed, I want to remind Houstonians that you're still the city. The action plans that you showed up to every month over years to create your priorities are still very valid. And although there may not be a formal office that's called Complete Communities, please continue to advocate for the things that you know that you deserve. With Complete Communities, we were able to direct resources from a global pandemic, author police reforms, direct financial resources, economic development, because the people chose to stand up and say, we are here. And so especially when neighborhoods in Houston have been historically decentralized, they were now centralized in a part of the conversation. I want to thank her and everyone associated with Complete Communities for their tireless effort. The University of Houston, Rice, the philanthropic community, everyone that stood with people arm in arm to give them the very best. And as someone that teaches community development, I understand how central these initiatives are in local municipal government and the currency it gives people to give them a voice. So I want to thank her for her service, and I want to thank everyone who consistently showed up and trusted the work over the last 8 years. Thank you.